Hello and welcome to the Always Bayern Chelsea show. Today is Monday, November 4th. As I record this, it'll be released on Tuesday, November 5th, which here stateside is election day, so make sure you get out and vote, and if you're feeling, any sort of angst or anxiety about the big day, come on and join me with this Always Bayern Chelsea episode. You just have me today. It's Danny giving you a breakdown, and I'm hoping to get Jim's thoughts on the Chelsea match as well in audio format. We kind of are on a little bit of a different schedule this week, so for now it's just me, but I will throw any sort of audio Jim sends my way in on the back end of this episode. So that being said, let's start off talking about Bayern Munich's match on Saturday, November 2nd. Bayern faced off against Union Berlin in the Bundesliga, and at that point, Berlin was fourth in the table, and they've put together a surprisingly good season so far, if you ask me. Union Berlin isn't going to be a powerhouse team, especially offensively, but so far they've been scraping by with a lot of points and putting together great defensive performances. So I was interested to see how Bayern Munich could face up against them and hoped that they would be able to overwhelm them. And in the end, we did see a pretty convincing 3-0 victory for Bayern Munich. So let's start off, as usual, by looking at the lineup for Bayern. In between the sticks, of course, we had Manuel Neuer. Playing right back, we had Rafa Guerreiro. The center-back combination was Dayot Upamecano and Kim Min-jae. The left back was Alphonso Davies, and the midfield was Joshua Kimmich and João Palhinha, with Michael Olise on the right wing, Jamal Musiala playing the 10, and Kingsley Coman on the left wing, with, of course, Harry Kane up top as the striker. So the match kind of got underway, and Bayern looked a little bit slow in maybe the first 10 minutes or so. Union Berlin's defense was kind of packing things in and doing well. They played this very compact shape, and it was very wide, I thought. If that makes sense. Their shape was kind of not vertically long, but very horizontally long. And, the first 10 minutes they did pretty good at stopping Bayern's attack, like I said. But in the 14th minute, we did see Michael Olise get dragged down just inside the box. It was almost on the line, but if you look at the replay, it was in fact inside the box. And so it was a penalty. Harry Kane steps up and drills it, like he does. I think Kane, I would love to see what his penalty percentage is for Bayern Munich, because it has to be just immaculate. The match then kind of continues on, and Union Berlin actually got some chances after that point in time. Neuer had a nice save, but at the end, the 43rd minute rolled around, and we saw a really nice run from Alphonso Davies, who, teed the ball off to Kane near the goal, and Kane on the first touch put it right in front of Kingsley Coman, who, took his time with it and placed the ball right on top of the back of the net. So it was a great play overall, great run from Davies, really good first touch from Kane, and Coman did his job, and I think it was great for him because, he has had a couple of good games now, but before that we saw a slow start to the season for Kingsley Coman, and he's really putting things together now and kind of gelling with this offense. We go into halftime with a 2-0 lead, and I was feeling like Bayern was doing a good job, but maybe not as dominant of a job as you could maybe hope. But again, it's 2-0 at halftime, and we're up, so things are looking good. And then halftime starts, the 53rd minute, we see Harry Kane getting another goal, this time assisted by Kingsley Coman, and Rafa Guerreiro actually put a beautiful ball in to get this play started. But at that point, 3-0, good from Rafa, good from King, good from Kane, and you feel like you have a good lead. And most importantly, you're feeling like, hey, we can maybe start to rest some guys going forward here. And lo and behold, that's exactly what happened. In the 68th minute, we saw Leroy Sané, Leon Goretzka, and Eric Dyer come in. again, Bayern has been facing some injuries, and it seems like the center backs, Upamecano and then Dyer, are not 100% fit. A lot of our attacking players have in the past gotten worn into the ground, and we're seeing Musiala come back from injury. Kane was injured at the beginning part of the season, and so it's really good to rest these guys when you're playing at this rate. Bayern's pretty much playing 2 matches a week. We also saw in the 73rd minute, Thomas Muller came on, and in the 80th minute, Adam Asnew came on for Alphonso Davies, which was nice to see. It was his debut for Bayern's first team. Adam Asnew is a young left back, who could maybe play a couple other positions along that left side, but is sort of similar in profile to Alphonso Davies. So again, whatever happens with Davies this summer, it's going to be nice to see Asnew get some minutes and maybe kind of get prepped for a bigger role in the future. But yeah, overall in this match, I think the defense was really solid as well. That's another point to mention, because our defense has had some trouble getting back and getting into position and just playing with overall positional awareness. And granted, Union Berlin doesn't have that explosive attack, so maybe this isn't the best litmus test. I'm not saying all the problems that we witnessed against Barca and even, Frankfurt and Villa. I'm not saying all those problems are out the window, gone, but it is good to see the defense playing solid and, most importantly, playing as a unit. It seems like their communication has gotten better so far as the season has gone on, and that seems like something that's, just been a little bit of an issue so far. And I think part of the defense looking good in this match was a big part due to Kimmich and his ability to slink back into that defense and, almost sort of form a back three with the center backs, as we see guys like Davies and Guerrero on the, the wing back positions who are more offensively minded, racing up the pitch. It's good to have that cover of Kimmich dropping back, almost playing a right back sort of in that area, as Kimmich is good at doing and has played before. The only question I have is, why is João Palhinha so high up in the pitch? And I've talked about this in other episodes too of the program, but Palhinha is the real defensive holding six, and seeing him play well past Kimmich in the pitch, way too high up in my opinion, is a little bit interesting. I don't quite get it. It seems like he's better suited to be the one to kind of drop back and play more defense. But, I get it. When Pavlovic is healthy, Pavlovic is playing that high up attacking contribution midfield role. So that was just one thing I wanted to note. And I almost forgot to mention the match awards for this match. So man of the match, we did have Harry Kane. Yeah, 2 goals and an assist, pretty much an unstoppable performance from Kane. Robin was Kingsley Coman, getting a goal and an assist in there. Yeah, I talked about it, but great to see him back in form. And then the defender of the match, honestly, pick any of the 4. I thought all 4 defenders had a great match. Rafa Guerrero, Dayot Upamecano, Kim Min-jae, Alphonso Davies. Positionally, they were all very, very solid. And, I mentioned it. Rafa kind of contributed to the attack. Davies kind of contributed to the attack. And, man, I'll just say it again. Seeing a revitalized, rejuvenated Alphonso Davies playing up to his potential is a beautiful, beautiful thing. So, extra shout out to Alphonso Davies once again, because, man, he's looking good in these matches. And something about him and Vincent Kompany's relationship has clicked. So, it's good to see him being used that way. And then the underrated fireball player of the match, I feel like a broken record with this one, but it is Joshua Kimmich, because, man, what he did for this team in this match, offensively, defensively, in the midfield, controlling the flow of the game, as I seem to say every week about this guy. Just an awesome, outstanding performance from him. And I guess I can throw this in there too. My moment of the match was indeed Harry Kane's goal in the 53rd minute to make it 3-0, because that was the impetus for these rotations and these subs being able to come in the game really feeling secured and locked down. Overall, it seems like Vincent Kompany is indeed finding his stride and just, figuring out the rotations. It seems like he's getting more of an idea of the chemistry of the squad, and things are coming together nicely. I mean, right now, Bayern Munich is a hot team. We can hope that it continues forward into the Champions League, because that's the one place where we haven't really seen it. But we're going to find out quickly, because Wednesday this week, November 6th, Bayern has their next Champions League match at home against Benfica. And we kind of talked about this one a little bit, I think, in our last episode, but this really is a must-win match, if you ask me, which is crazy to say so early in the season. But right now, Bayern's all the way down and in 23rd position in the Champions League. With this new format, it's just everybody in a big pot. There's no group stages, and there's no groups and advancing through groups. It's just everybody is in a pot, and the top 8 teams advance, and then I think it's 9 through 25, I want to say, that have a playoff to see who advances out of that group, and then whatever the rest is, 26 to 32 or whatever, just don't advance at all, don't have a chance to advance. So yeah, 2 losses already is not great for Bayern. It's not the end of the world. I think mathematically they still can finish in that top 8, but either way, you're going to have to start to win and put together good performances to hope to advance and go far in the Champions League, which the final is in Munich this year, so it would be nice to see that. And things are going to start again quickly with Benfica this week. And I think overall Benfica is a very solid team. They're not at the level of a Barcelona or even, I would say, a Villa or a Leverkusen. But they're certainly above the level of Union Berlin and a lot of these teams that Bayern has been playing in the Bundesliga. So it's going to be a good test, in my opinion, to see where we're at. Because so far this season, we've talked about it, but Bayern has looked great in the Bundesliga, and also great in the DFB Pokal. They just got that win against Mainz. But speaking of the Pokal, that's the last thing I wanted to mention in terms of Bayern Munich. We saw the draw for the round of 16 come out this week, and lo and behold, Bayern Munich is facing off against Bayer Leverkusen in the round of 16 at the Allianz Arena. So I'm facing 2 sides of myself, I guess, when I think about this match, because one side, Leverkusen is the last team I wanted to face in this round. I think that, with no disrespect to Leipzig and Frankfurt, who are incidentally playing each other as well, I think that Leverkusen is the next best team in this tournament outside of Bayern, if you look at their lineup. And again, Leverkusen hasn't had their best on display this season so far, but they do still have that black magic, I'll call it, ability to come back in the end of a match and put something together, And when they played Bayern this year at the Allianz, you certainly didn't see all their tricks. They, as we talked about, parked the bus and just were hoping to get out of there alive with a point, and that's what they did. So I was hoping that they would be more aggressive and kind of come at Bayern, but that's not how they played in that match. We'll see how the Pokal match turns out. I think that, like I said, Leverkusen and Bayern are the 2 best teams. I do think the next 2 best teams are Frankfurt and Leipzig. So seeing those teams play each other in the round of 16 kind of sucks, because from a tournament perspective, you'd want to see them play at the end of the tournament to make things more exciting. But on the other hand, you got to beat the best to be the best. So I'm excited for this matchup on that hand, because it's a great test for Bayern and it's a great way for them to prove themselves. But man, Bayern will be facing another tough stretch of 3 matches. Like we saw, already playing Barcelona and Villa and Leverkusen and Frankfurt and Stuttgart all kind of in a row there. Now we're going to see Dortmund, Der Klassiker, followed by PSG, followed by Leverkusen. I believe that's the right order. And that's going to be a very difficult stretch for Bayern. So, as I mentioned in this game breakdown, rotation. And I'm excited overall because we're going to see some more tests from company coming up here. So now let's turn things over to Chelsea. I got word from Jim that we are going to hear his breakdown of the Chelsea-Manchester United match, but I also watched the match in full, so I'll just give you some of my quick thoughts here. But yeah, that match ended in a 1-1 draw. I thought that Chelsea could have came out with the 3 points. It's good, I guess, to get the point because now they're, in fourth in the table, I think. So I think the biggest thing to mention in this match was Chelsea's midfield looked great. They allowed play to open up, and they really dominated the game in that area, the middle of the pitch. So yeah, Caicedo and Lavia once again have a great chemistry together, and especially Caicedo. He was my man of the match because he was Chelsea's best player, and we got to talk about his goal. I mean, Caicedo's goal right after Bruno Fernandes's penalty on Manchester United was something special. Caicedo's goal was one of the best goals I've seen this year. Just a rocket of a volley in the perfect spot, unsavable to level things out 1-1. I mean, he really did everything in this match. He did it all. The other thing I wanted to mention, and it's funny because, it's not going to be as good just talking to myself saying this, but not talking to Jim, but my Robin of the match was Noussair Mazraoui, former Bayern Munich, right back, left back, wherever you want to play him. But I thought he was the best player on the pitch the whole match. Mazraoui was up and down that side and really controlled offensively and defensively. He took care of that whole side of the pitch, like I said. And on Chelsea's end of the pitch, you did see the inversion of Noni Madueke and Malo Gusto. So Mazraoui kind of took care of both of those guys. I also wanted to mention Ligt, I thought looked great because there were 2 plays in particular that I can imagine, or that I can remember, I should say. He stopped Cole Palmer, and one of them was probably from scoring a goal. So shout out to the former Bayern Munich players. I know that Ligt has struggled this year at Manchester United. I haven't watched their matches. That's what I've heard. But they both looked great this game, Ligt and Mazraoui. So they're 2 guys that I wish were still on Bayern Munich, but hey, I guess that's water under the bridge at this point. But yeah, I think part of the reason for De Ligt's struggles on Manchester United so far could be because of the tactical approach of Erik ten Hag, or lack of tactical approach, I should say. And I don't know what their interim coach is really doing or changing. Again, I don't watch much Premier League. I watch a lot of Bundesliga. I don't watch a lot of Manchester United, but it seemed to me like United was playing a very high line, but also not controlling the ball, not even really looking to control the ball. So I can see how a guy like De Ligt would struggle in that sort of situation. And overall, I thought United had a very good defense, but did not have a good attack. And I feel like I've talked more about United than Chelsea in this match. But yeah, I mean, I'll let Jim talk more about Chelsea because that's kind of what I thought about this match. So, Jim, take it away.
Here are my thoughts on the Bayern and Chelsea games that occurred this weekend. And I'm going to start with the Bayern match. I thought it was a dominating performance by Bayern for the most part against Union Berlin. It's great to see for Bayern to have a game like that. They need to start stacking wins and stacking great performances. I think this match was a great start for that. This is a team that has all the talent in the world, and Vincent Kompany is just figuring out how to build his best team, build the best tactics for his team. I think he'll find a way to do that. He just has to work through it a little bit. It's maybe not ideal that it had to come against some solid teams in the Champions League, against Leverkusen early on. But I'm not worried about Bayern at all. I think they showed they can be dominant when they want to be. And I'm excited to see what they can do, what they can continue to do. Seeing Harry Kane get on the score sheet is always a beautiful thing. Harry Kane is one of those players that even when people don't think he's playing well, he continues to show that he is a star and one of the best players in the world. He's insane. He has an off day so rarely. It's crazy what he's able to do. He easily puts away a penalty, scores another goal, and I think he even had the assist for the Coman goal. Don't quote me on that for sure. I'm sure Danny will discuss with his thoughts, but Harry Kane, what a player he is. Kingsley Coman, I made the joke last time about Saudis ringing Bayern's number for his services, but I tell you what, Bayern might want to keep Coman right now with the way he's been playing. That was a beautiful goal that he scored in this match. Love to see that from him. And I thought Bayern probably could have scored a few more goals, at least one, maybe two more. You know, you're dominating 78% possession, 16 total shots. Bayern were clicking. Everything was working well. It's great to see. They just need to keep this up. I need to see this against teams that are a little bit better. Union Berlin, sure, you could say that they were a better team in terms of the standings. I wasn't buying that they were going to be an amazing team on the year. But either way, as I've said a million times, you don't apologize for what opponents that you play. Bayern get it done in the end. And I thought it was a strong performance from the most part for them. You know, I think, as I keep saying, they just need to keep stacking these performances. And if they do that, the momentum will build them into a spot where they can beat top teams. You know, I think this match coming up against Benfica won't be quite the test that I'm looking for yet, but it'll still be big. In terms of who I thought deserves some flowers besides the players I've mentioned, Kane and Coman, Elise looked pretty solid. He had struggled lately, in my opinion, so it was good to see him bounce back in a little bit of a bigger way. Kimmich, the dog of the team, continues to show he is a beast. Joshua Kimmich, I mean, what more could you want from this guy? He steps up in every single way imaginable. The back line all put in a solid shift. Neuer probably didn't get tested that much, but when you give up no goals and have a clean sheet, it's always a great thing, and they did just that. So that's awesome to see. You know, Musiala kind of is still working back from some injury. I don't think he maybe had his greatest day ever, but you're not going to complain with how he did. Kane, the star of the day, clearly. Coman following behind. Do Bayern have a new starting left wing? I'm not saying that for sure. But if he stays playing the way he's been lately, why not play Coman? Why not play the guy who's giving you great minutes and great goals? We'll see what happens going forward with that. Now over to my analysis of Chelsea Football Club. As I had mentioned on the previous pod, I would be up at Lambeau Field in Green Bay, Wisconsin, and that's where I was. Chelsea played on my way up to that game. I watched most of the first half, didn't catch much of the second half, saw the highlights. It's overall disappointing. You know, Chelsea, they've been building momentum. They play well some weeks, don't play well the other weeks. As I've said, you know, they're a young team. This is what's going to happen. They're just going to have days where they frustrate the hell out of you. And that's okay. You know, I'm expecting that as a fan. It is what it is. I thought they have some players who just were so poor, and I need to see more out of them. Noni, Gusto, what are you doing on that right side? I need you to be so much better. Some of their worst performances that I've seen. You know, it's a game where you reasonably are controlling for a lot of that first half, but you're not putting chances away. Even at times in the second half, from what I've heard, they were controlling and didn't put chances away. Cole Palmer, a so-called off day. I still think he's one of the best players they had, creating chances, touches that nobody else in the world is putting on display. Caicedo continues to be the most consistent player on this Chelsea team. I keep saying this. I've said this 1,000 times, and I will keep preaching because he's finally getting the love that he deserves. Moises Caicedo is the best defensive midfielder in the Premier League right now. Rodri's out. Caicedo is the best defensive midfielder in the Premier League right now. And he scores a brilliant goal off a volley to level things at 1 in that second half. But what he provides with coverage defensively in the midfield, with his passing, clearly now can show that he can put the ball in the back of the net if absolutely need be. I love seeing that from him. He's a guy that definitely deserved to be able to score a goal, and that's exactly what he did. The rest of that back line, besides Gusto, I didn't think were super poor. Fofana maybe misjudges that ball to Højlund that leads to the penalty. I'll talk more about Sanchez in a minute here. Reece, Colwill, Fofana, they were okay on the day. I didn't think they were awful by any means. Rob Sanchez, the guy loves giving up easy goals. He loves giving away penalties. I just don't know what to expect from this guy. It's like he's just not doing enough. I don't know. It's tough. He's probably not a keeper that's going to bring you a Premier League title, which is unfortunate to say because I think this Chelsea team is talented. But I need to see more from Big Bob Sanchez if he wants to be called Big Bob and not just Robert. Lavia, maybe an off day for him. We're still yet to see him complete a full 90. Enzo comes on, should have made a better shot on goal there toward the end. Lavia and Enzo, they're kind of battling right now for who wants to take control of that starting midfield spot next to Caicedo. And it's looking like it's Lavia right now because Enzo hasn't shown me enough, but Lavia still needs to take the chances that he's getting. He can't just be a slouch just because Enzo's playing poor. So that'll be interesting to watch going forward. Neto, I think, has locked down a wing spot. Noni has been off for a while now. Neto with his pace, what he can provide. I'd love to see Neto start on the right wing, Mudryk on the left. Give him a chance. Why not? Maybe even start Palmer on the right and Nkunku in the 10. That's something that we've been talking about. Nkunku in the 10. That's a possibility for me. I know you like to see Palmer more in the half space, going deeper, and he wouldn't have the chance from the right wing. But I'd love to see them play together and see what could happen because I don't think Jackson is losing his spot as the number 9, as a striker to Nkunku. So overall, am I going to bitch and moan about being 4th in the Premier League table right now if I'm Chelsea? No, of course not. I'm never going to complain with that. Other teams were losing. We drew, dropping 2 points. It's okay. Haven't won at Old Trafford in a decade, so I'm not going to complain too much. Chelsea this weekend have an opportunity to take their Premier League by storm. If they, at home, can beat Arsenal, it would be huge. It would be a huge step in the right direction for Enzo Maresca and the Blues. They're going to wax Noah on Thursday. I'm not worried at all about that. We'll see what the B team can do. Look for Felix to put up a great performance. But I think come this Sunday, we could be saying Chelsea are headed perfectly in the right direction. We'll see. I'm very excited to see what happens. As I mentioned, overall I'm disappointed in this Man United game. But sitting 4th, it's a beautiful thing to be a Chelsea fan right now. Up the Chelsea, baby.